Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. So today in this video I'm going to be showing you a popular home dashboard solution in Docker called Heimdall. So Heimdall is a Docker container that we're going to get deployed today. You can see I've got Windows in front of me. If you're using Mac, it should be the same command along with Linux if you're using Linux. So I'm going to SSH into my Ubuntu virtual machine that I've set up. Again, yours can be a bare metal system, but I'm just going to remote in now and we'll get started with the video. So all we're going to need to do is first run an apt-get update, and if you do and twice, that's you can link two commands together. Sudo apt-get upgrade -y. Enter. It's going to ask for the password from a user, and now we're going to do an apt-get update and then a full upgrade as well. You can see that's doing that now. Once that's done, we're going to get Docker installed, and then finally we're going to go through how to set up Heimdall. So essentially, Heimdall allows us to, for example, if you've got loads of containers, loads of services in your Homelab, Heimdall is like a dashboard. So you can have all of them linked, and then you just go to one IP address and then click on the one that you want. So for example, if it's hard to remember IP addresses, this is very useful. I do have that set up on my own Homelab right now, but obviously I'm going to set it up today for you so then you know how to do it. Any commands that I do use in this video are linked below on the blog post, so you can copy and paste them directly into your terminal session. So what I'll do is I'll wait for this to finish. It indeed just has. I'm pressing enter. You can do Control-L to clear the terminal session, and now we're just going to do a simple command. Again, in the description below you can copy and paste. So it's sudo apt-get install docker.io, and then do a space docker-compose and then -y. This is going to install Docker and Docker Compose. Again, we don't need Docker Compose in this case because I'm going to be showing you how to get it set up through Portainer. But it's handy to have that Docker Compose installed, because when we go through the in the next video, we may use Docker Compose. It just saves a little bit of time. You can see we're almost set up. If I press enter again, you can see we're back on the terminal session. So to see if Docker's installed, you do Docker version, and you can see it says the version there. If it shows permission denied, sudo and then 2 exclamation marks, and then it will show you the client and server. You can see Docker engine, so it is running. So now we're going to get Portainer installed. So what I'll do, I'll leave these commands in the description below, where you can find the install commands for Portainer. But if we do sudo, and then I'm just going to paste them in. I won't explain what the commands do because again, you can just copy and paste them in. But this command here, it's got some, it's running as a detached container. It's got some port variables here. It's got a name, and it's set to always restart in the state that it was before. It's got some volume preferences, so it can see the Docker socket and a volume to store the data along with the image here. If I press enter, it's going to pull the image from the Docker repository. You can see there's a lot of sub images in there, but you can see now once we get this hash here, this is the container ID I believe, that means it's successfully deployed. So what do we do from here? So if we do Control-L again and then do hostname dash and then a capital I, you'll see your IP address. So this is your private IP address, not your public IP address. With this IP address, you're going to copy that, and then you're going to visit a web browser. I'm using Edge, and do https:// paste that IP address in, and then put a :9443. Enter. You're going to get a privacy error Don't worry about that. That's just because it's using a self-signed certificate. So with the self-signed certificate, all you're going to need to do is click on advanced and then continue. It says unsafe because if this was on the actual World Wide Web to the public, it would actually be unsafe, as obviously you can intercept the traffic. Give a username and password. Again, do it as whatever you like. Untick this. I'm just going to untick that. Click create user and click on get started. So we're in Portainer. So the next step, we're going to be actually deploying the Heimdall image. So we're going to be pulling it from the Portainer UI, and then we're going to be configuring and deploying that container. So let's actually get onto that now. So on Portainer, what you're going to have to do is click into your environment, and then you get a lot of options here. We're going to go to image first because we need to pull the image. So if I click on image, we'll make sure the registry is on Docker Hub as an anonymous user, because obviously we've not got ourselves logged in. So you're limited to 100 pulls a day, but again, that doesn't matter as we're not going to be pulling 100 images a day. Obviously, if you do pull more than that, sorry, it's not 100 pulls a day, it's every 6 hours. So if you do pull 100 images over a 6 hour period, then you're going to have to wait until that limit's up, unless you want to obviously sign in. Anyway, for the Docker.io image, we're going to do Linux server /Heimdall, like so. Again, in the description below, you'll find all the commands and everything that I type in the blog post, so you can even copy and paste. If we then click pull image, it's going to do what it did similar here, but in the background, so we won't actually see it pulling. It just says download in progress, and then in a moment you can see image successfully pulled, and it's down here. It's saying unused because no containers are actually using it. So you can actually click on this and click on remove. That just clears up the space, but obviously we're going to be using it in a moment. If we go to the side menu and click on containers and then click on add container, we're going to give it a name, so I'm just going to call it Homelab dashboard. And then for the image, Linux server Heimdall. And then we're going to make sure always pull the image is checked. If we scroll down, we'll get manual network port publishing. Now, I'm going to set it to port 80, but if your port 80 is not available, the container will fail to deploy, as the port 80 will already be bound to another container or another service in Linux. But for me, I do know that there's no other services such as like a web server using port 80, so I'm going to put that there. So if I click on publish a new network port, in container it's always going to be 80. The host is what is going to be connected to this host IP address here. So on the Portainer instance, for example, 9443 is this host parameter, but in the container this might just be port 443, for example. But I'm just going to put port 80 here, and then if we scroll down we get some more options. I recommend just ticking interactive and TTY, just in case you need to go in here and change a few things around. It just makes it nicer to navigate. If you also click on restart policy and click on always, this will ensure that your containers automatically restarted if the host goes offline. Also on network we can configure this, but obviously we're not setting up a network today in Docker. If you would like to see that, please do consider liking the video and even pop a comment if you really want to see that. But for today we're just going to be using Bridge. We don't even need to fill out a host name, but let's do it. So we'll just call it Homelab dash. Volumes, it's going to automatically create a /config volume. But if you want to map this to a host hard drive, then you can put the parameters here. So in the container it's /config, and then if you bind it to the path on the host, that's you all set. But for the basic deployment we are now finished, so we can click on deploy the container. So it shouldn't take too long to deploy as the image is already pulled, and you can see it says container successfully created. Now if we go to the IP address, you can see we've got Heimdall. So this is Heimdall. Again, it looks really basic because we've not added anything yet, but there's a few different things you can do with it. The first thing I recommend you do is set in an admin password. So anyone on your local network can't change what's pinned, etc. without that password. To do this, go to the side on users and then edit the admin user. Tick allow public access to front unless you want to set up users. I'm not going to do that today. You can give yourself a username, so I'll just put HSVE. Put in your email address if you want to. I'm just going to leave it at that. You can upload your own avatar. Again, I'm just going to leave that. And then set a password. Click on save. And now, if we go in a private tab, for example, and paste that, and try to edit, say, settings, it's going to ask for that password. That's just to secure it a little bit more. But now we set that up, we can actually go into settings. We can set a background image if we like. So I'll just go onto Google and then search for nature background image. Again, it doesn't matter. Preferably 1080p, but it really doesn't matter. Let's just let's type in 1080p. That'll do. So right click, I'm saving it to my downloads folder, and then we're just going to click on that, choose a file, downloads, double click, click on save, and then you can see that has been saved. So to add an application, so for example I'm going to add Portainer here. If I click add an application here, or you can go down here on application list and click on add. Then we're going to give it a title, Portainer. If you name it this and click on that, it'll automatically fill out an icon and stuff for you, which is personally really nice. And for the URL, it's going to be https, our IP address, 9443. Make sure it's ticked as pinned. You can give it a description or leave it as default. And you can also add some stats. So you can have it where it shows you how many containers are running and stopped. Directly from the dashboard. Well, I'm not going to do that today, but if you want to do that, you can do it here by providing the URL, the username and password for your Portainer account, and then saving it. But if we click on save now, you can see Portainer is there. If I just refresh, you can see Portainer is now as an icon. So you can add loads here. If you hover over, you get a description that you set before. If it's custom, you'll see that one. And if we click on it, it'll take us to that URL. You don't need to do it as a local IP address either. So if I click add, HSV help, for example, and then add that in, click on pinned. You can upload an icon. And then click on save. You can see HSV helps there. If I hover over it, that description is there, and then you click on it and it'll take you to that site. So if you do need help, please make sure to check out our new site HSV help, which is going to be in the description below. But that's going to be it for this video. If you want to see more container images in Docker that's quite useful for a home lab, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel, as we're really quite close to 7,000 subscribers now. But anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Hope you had a great New Year's, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.